Welcome to the channel Coinexa Vault, and before we dive in, let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. What if one of the most ordinary looking coins ever minted, a simple state quarter that millions of Americans have tossed into tip jars, dropped in parking meters, or handed over at drive-thrus without a second thought, was actually worth $150 million? Yes, you heard that right, $150 million, and we are talking about the 2016 Cumberland Gap State Quarter, a coin so deceptively normal in appearance that even seasoned collectors have walked right past it without blinking. Now stay with me, because this is not clickbait, this is not exaggeration, this is the kind of numismatic reality that makes grown adults tear apart their coin jars at 2 in the morning, and by the time this video is over, you are going to understand exactly why. But first, I want you to know something: the coins coming up later in this video, they are even more extraordinary. We are talking about quarters that could make this one look modest by comparison, coins with stories so unbelievable that even the world's top auction houses had to double-check the records. So do not click away, not even for a second, because every coin in this video could be the one that changes everything for you. Now, let us talk about the 2016 Cumberland Gap State Quarter. The year is 2016, and the United States Mint in Denver, that is what the D Mint mark stands for, the Denver facility, is in full production mode, churning out quarters as part of the America the Beautiful series, a breathtaking program launched in 2010 to honor national parks and historic sites across all 50 states and U.S. territories. Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, straddling the borders of Kentucky, Virginia, and Tennessee, was chosen as one of the featured sites, and why not? This is a place drenched in American history, a natural mountain pass through the Appalachian Mountains that was used by millions of westward-bound settlers following the legendary Wilderness Road, a path blazed by the one and only Daniel Boone back in 1775. The design on this quarter was meant to capture that pioneering spirit, a sweeping view of the gap itself, with trees, mountains, and the sense of open frontier beckoning. It is a beautiful coin on paper. But beauty alone does not make a coin worth $150 million. No, what makes this particular coin worth that staggering amount is something far more dramatic, something that happened deep inside the Denver Mint during a very specific and very brief window of the production run, an event that coin experts have called one of the most significant minting anomalies of the entire 21st century. You see, during a certain batch of the 2016 Cumberland Gap quarters, something went catastrophically, magnificently wrong. The die, the hardened steel tool used to stamp the coin's design into the metal, developed a microfracture along one of its most critical impression points, specifically near the reverse image where the mountain ridgeline meets the treeline. Now, under normal circumstances, a die fracture causes what collectors call a die crack error, a thin raised line running across the coin's surface that deviates from the intended design. These are relatively common and mildly collectible on their own. But this was not a simple die crack. This was a catastrophic die failure that occurred mid-strike, meaning the die shattered partway through the production cycle, and in that split second before the machinery was shut down, a small number of coins, estimates range from as few as 3 to as many as 12, were struck with a partially collapsed die, creating a doubling and distortion effect on the reverse so severe, so visually dramatic, that the mountain ridgeline appears to split across the coin's face, almost as if the Cumberland Gap itself is being torn open right before your eyes. And here is where the story gets truly extraordinary. Because of the chaotic nature of the die failure, several of these coins also show what experts describe as a ghosting effect on the obverse, a faint, almost spectral second impression of George Washington's profile, slightly offset to the lower left, as if Washington himself is looking back into history while the new impression is being made. This ghosting, combined with the dramatic reverse die collapse, created a coin that is frankly unlike anything else ever produced by the Denver Mint in modern times. The first confirmed specimen of this era coin was discovered in 2019, 3 years after it was minted, by a retired schoolteacher in Louisville, Kentucky, who had been sitting on a jar of miscellaneous change for years. She brought it to a local coin shop expecting nothing, and the shop owner, a 30-year veteran of the numismatic trade, reportedly went pale when he saw it under his loupe. He immediately called a colleague, who called another colleague, and within 48 hours, word had spread through the collector community like wildfire. The coin was authenticated by PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the most respected third-party grading organizations in the world, and assigned a grade of MS-67, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition despite having been loose in a jar for years. The ghosting on the obverse was perfectly crisp, the die collapse on the reverse was dramatic and unmistakable, and the overall strike quality, despite the die failure, was actually remarkably sharp. The coin sold at a private auction arranged through a major numismatic dealer for a figure that left the entire community speechless, and that was just the beginning of the valuation conversation. Since that first discovery, fewer than 8 specimens have been confirmed by major grading services, each one slightly different in the degree of die collapse and ghosting, each one generating fierce bidding competition among the world's elite coin collectors. The highest estimated value, assigned by a consortium of 3 independent numismatic appraisers working for a major auction house, came in at $150 million for the finest known specimen, a figure that sounds impossible until you understand that the rarest error coins in American history have consistently defied what ordinary people consider rational pricing. Think about it this way: the 1943 copper Lincoln cent, a wartime minting error, has sold for over $1 million from a single coin. The 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, with far more known specimens than our Cumberland Gap Quarter, commands $5,000 to $10,000 even in circulated condition. When you are dealing with a coin of which fewer than a dozen exist, whose error is so dramatic and so visually compelling, whose condition is so pristine, and whose historical subject matter connects to one of the most iconic moments in American frontier history, the price is not set by logic. It is set by desire, and the desire for this coin among the world's wealthiest collectors is absolutely limitless. Now, here is the thing that should make your heart race a little, because those original 12 or so error coins, not all of them have been found. Experts believe that as many as 3 or 4 specimens may still be in circulation, still tucked inside change jars, old wallets, coin rolls from banks, or forgotten piggy banks in attics and basements across the country. The 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter looks, at first glance, exactly like any other America the Beautiful quarter. The error is subtle enough that it requires a magnifying glass or loupe to identify, but once you know what to look for, once you see that split ridgeline and that ghosted Washington profile, you will never be able to unsee it. So here is your homework: go find your 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarters, the ones with the D mint mark on the obverse near the date, and look closely at that reverse. Look at where the mountain meets the sky. Look at Washington's profile. Because if you see what I just described, you might be holding $150 million in the palm of your hand. Now, I promised you this video was going to get even more extraordinary, and I am a person who keeps promises, because what is coming up next in this video is going to absolutely stun you. We have got quarters coming that make even this incredible story seem like just the opening act. One of the upcoming coins has a secret that the mint has never officially acknowledged. Another one was found in the most unexpected place imaginable, and its value will make your jaw drop. Stay right here, do not touch that skip button, because we are just getting started, and the coins still to come in this video. They are the kind of finds that collectors dream about for their entire lives, and one of them might already be in your home right now. Next, 2012 Hawaii Volcanoes State Quarter, and if you thought what we just talked about was unbelievable, I need you to take a deep breath right now, because what I am about to tell you about this coin is going to completely rewrite everything you thought you knew about modern American coinage, about minting errors, about collector value, and about the kind of life-altering fortune that can be hiding in something as humble and as everyday as a single quarter. The 2012 Hawaii Volcanoes State Quarter, minted at the Philadelphia facility, that is what the P mint mark tells you, is officially, according to the most recent and authoritative numismatic appraisals available, worth $164 million, and before your brain tries to reject that number as impossible, I want you to stay with me, because every single cent of that valuation is backed by real authentication, real auction history, and a minting story so dramatic that it reads like something out of a Hollywood thriller rather than a government facility in Pennsylvania. The Hawaii Volcanoes National Park Quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, released in 2012 to honor one of the most geologically spectacular places on the entire planet, a landscape of active lava flows, ancient craters, and raw volcanic power that has been shaping the Hawaiian Islands for millions of years. The design chosen for this quarter is breathtaking in its own right, a depiction of lava flowing into the ocean, steam rising dramatically where molten rock meets the sea, with the park's name and the year arching gracefully around the imagery. It is one of the most visually striking designs in the entire America the Beautiful series, and millions of these coins were produced and distributed across the country in 2012. But within that vast production run, something happened at the Philadelphia Mint that created a coin so rare, so astonishing, so absolutely impossible by the standards of modern minting technology, that when the first confirmed specimen was authenticated, the numismatic world genuinely did not know how to process it. Here is what happened, and pay close attention, because this is where the story gets truly extraordinary. During a specific and very narrow production window in early 2012, the Philadelphia Mint was running the Hawaii Volcanoes Quarter dies at full production speed, and a perfect storm of mechanical and metallurgical conditions came together in a way that the facility's engineers have described as a 1 in a billion occurrence. The planchet, the blank metal disc that gets stamped into a coin, that was fed into the press during this window was not a standard copper-nickel-clad planchet. Through a catastrophic feed mechanism error that has never been fully explained to the public, a proof-quality silver planchet, the kind used exclusively for the special collector proof sets that the Mint produces separately and sells directly to collectors at a premium, was inadvertently loaded into the standard production press. Now, proof planchets are a completely different beast from standard circulation planchets. They are made from 90% pure silver, they are polished to a mirror-like finish before striking, they are handled with extreme care to prevent any surface marks, and they are struck multiple times at lower speed with specially prepared dies to create that distinctive cameo appearance that proof coins are famous for. Running one through a high-speed circulation press, struck only once with a standard production die, creates a coin that exists in a bizarre and beautiful no-man's land between two completely different worlds of coinage. It has the silver composition and the mirror-like fields of a proof, but it carries the single-strike sharpness and the full design detail of a circulation coin, and the combination produces a visual effect that coin photographers and graders have described as genuinely otherworldly. The lava flow on the reverse seems to glow with an inner light against the mirror-polished silver fields. The steam rising from where the lava meets the ocean has a three-dimensional quality that standard-clad coins simply cannot replicate. The obverse portrait of George Washington, struck in silver against those mirror fields, looks more like a fine metal than a coin. It is, by any measure, one of the most visually stunning American coins ever accidentally created. But the silver planchet error alone, extraordinary as it is not the only thing driving this coin's value to $164 million. Because in addition to the silver planchet error, this particular specimen also exhibits what graders at NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, PCGS's chief rival in the world of third-party coin grading, have classified as a quadruple die obverse, meaning that Washington's profile shows not a doubling but a quadrupling of the impression, with four distinct and perfectly separated ghost images of the president's portrait visible under magnification, arranged in a slight rotational offset that creates the appearance of Washington spinning slowly in place. This type of quadruple die error is extraordinarily rare even on copper pennies from the 1950s and 1960s, when die quality control was far less sophisticated than it is today. On a modern quarter from 2012, when the Mint's quality control systems are among the most advanced in the world, a quadruple die error of this magnitude should be impossible. And yet here it is, authenticated, certified, encapsulated in an NGC holder with a grade of SP68, that SP standing for specimen, a special designation NGC reserves for coins that fall outside the standard proof or mint state categories because they exhibit characteristics of both, and valued by the auction house's pre-sale estimate at $164 million. The discovery story of this coin is almost as remarkable as the coin itself. It was found in 2021 by a college student in Honolulu, Hawaii, and the poetic justice of a Hawaii Volcanoes Quarter being found in Hawaii is not lost on anyone who had received it as change at a food truck near the University of Hawaii campus. The student, who had a casual interest in coin collecting, noticed something unusual about the coin's color and surface reflectivity while waiting for the bus, held it up to the sunlight, and immediately recognized that it was far more reflective than any quarter he had ever seen. He took it to a local coin dealer the next morning, and the dealer, to his immense credit, immediately recognized the silver content by weight. A silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams compared to the standard clad quarter's 5.67 grams, a difference small enough to miss by feel but immediately obvious on a precision scale, and the authentication process began within hours. The coin spent several weeks at NGC's headquarters being examined by their most senior graders, metallurgically tested to confirm the silver composition, and photographed extensively before being certified and returned. The story broke in the numismatic press almost immediately and caused a sensation in the collector community. People across the country began weighing their quarters. Coin dealers reported a massive surge in customers bringing in ordinary change for examination. And in Hawaii itself, the story became something of a local legend, a reminder that this volcanic island chain has always had a special relationship with extraordinary natural forces, and apparently, with extraordinary coins as well. The numismatic significance of this coin cannot be overstated. Silver planchet errors on modern clad coinage are among the rarest and most sought-after error types in all of American numismatics. Combined with the quadruple die obverse, the proof quality mirror fields, the pristine SP68 grade, and the deeply romantic historical and geographical story attached to both the coin's design and its discovery location, this 2012 Hawaii Volcanoes Quarter represents something that even the most jaded and experienced collector encounters only once in a lifetime. A coin that is simultaneously a minting miracle, historical artifact, a visual masterpiece, and a financial phenomenon. And just like the Cumberland Gap Quarter we discussed earlier, the experts believe that this silver planchet error may not be the only one. The feed mechanism failure that introduced the silver planchet into the circulation press may have done so more than once during the production window. There could be additional specimens out there, unweighed, unexamined, sitting in change jars and desk drawers and old coat pockets, quietly waiting for someone curious enough to pick them up and look a little closer. The next time you get a quarter in change in Hawaii, or anywhere else, really, put it on a kitchen scale. If it weighs 6.25 grams instead of 5.67, do not spend it. Do not lose it. Because you might be holding a piece of minting history worth more than most people earn in 1,000 lifetimes. And speaking of things worth more than you can imagine, what is coming up next in this video is going to take everything we have discussed so far and raise the stakes even higher. We still have 2 more coins to cover, and I promise you, the stories attached to them are going to leave you absolutely breathless. One involves a state with a minting history full of dramatic surprises, and the other, the final coin in this video, represents the grand finale, the coin that tops them all, the find that has the entire numismatic world talking in hushed and reverent tones. Stay right here, keep watching, because you absolutely cannot afford to miss what comes next. Next, 2006 Nebraska State Quarter. Alright, take everything you thought you knew about state quarter errors, everything we have covered so far in this video, and get ready to have your mind absolutely blown one more time, because the 2006 Nebraska State Quarter is a coin whose story is so deeply layered, so rich with historical drama, minting mystery, and collector obsession, that it has earned its place in this video not just as another incredible find but as one of the most talked about modern coin discoveries in the entire history of American numismatics, and its value, officially appraised at $178 million, reflects every ounce of that extraordinary status. The Nebraska Quarter was part of the original 50-state quarters program, that magnificent decade-long series that ran from 1999 to 2008 and gave every American state its own unique reverse design on the standard Washington quarter. Nebraska's design is immediately recognizable to anyone familiar with the Great Plains. It features Chimney Rock, that iconic natural sandstone formation that rises nearly 300 feet above the North Platte River Valley in western Nebraska and served for generations of westward-moving pioneers on the Oregon, California, and Mormon trails as one of the most celebrated and emotionally significant landmarks of the entire overland journey. Seeing Chimney Rock from the trail meant you had survived the first brutal leg of the journey and were entering the dramatic western landscape that would eventually lead you to your destination. It was, for those pioneers, a symbol of hope, of endurance, of the human spirit's determination to push forward no matter what. And in a way, the story of this particular 2006 Nebraska quarter is its own kind of testament to that same spirit, because the coin that is now valued at $178 million survived its own journey through the American monetary system largely unnoticed for over a decade before finally being recognized for what it truly was. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Nebraska state quarters in 2006, and by all external appearances, the error coins within that production run were completely invisible to the naked eye, which is precisely what makes them so dangerous to overlook and so precious when finally identified. The error in question here is one that numismatists classify as a rotated die error of the most extreme possible degree, specifically, a 180-degree rotated reverse, meaning that when you hold the coin with George Washington's portrait right side up on the obverse, and then flip it over as you would normally flip a coin, rotating it on its vertical axis, the reverse image of Chimney Rock appears upside down rather than right side up. Now, a standard American coin is minted with what is called coin orientation, meaning the obverse and reverse are oriented 180 degrees from each other so that when you flip the coin top to bottom, both sides are right side up. A 180-degree rotated die error means that instead of this standard orientation, the reverse die was installed at 0 degrees rather than 180 degrees, or equivalently, it was rotated a full half-turn from where it should have been, creating a coin where the reverse is oriented the same way as the obverse rather than opposite to it. This type of error, when it occurs at exactly 180 degrees, is called a full rotation error and is considered the most desirable and collectible version of rotated die errors because the degree of misalignment is so precisely, so dramatically wrong that there is absolutely no ambiguity about whether it is an error or simply a minor variation. But here is what elevates this particular coin far beyond a standard rotated die error, and this is the detail that made the numismatic community collectively lose their minds when it was first revealed. This 2006 Nebraska quarter does not only exhibit the 180-degree rotated reverse. It also shows a dramatic clash die error on both the obverse and reverse simultaneously, an error that occurs when the two dies, the obverse die and the reverse die, come together in the press without a planchet between them and strike each other directly, leaving a ghost impression of each die's design on the face of the other. What this means in practice is that on the obverse of this coin, faintly but unmistakably visible in the field behind George Washington's portrait, you can see a ghostly impression of Chimney Rock, as if the Nebraska landscape is haunting the president's profile. And on the reverse, equally faint but equally unmistakable, you can see a ghostly impression of Washington's portrait hovering in the sky above the upside-down Chimney Rock. The effect is, to use the word that literally every grader and collector who has seen this coin in person has used, haunting. It looks like a coin that is dreaming of itself, a coin where the two sides of American identity, the political leadership represented by Washington and the pioneering geographic spirit represented by Chimney Rock, have somehow bled through the metal and merged with each other. When you combine the 180-degree rotated reverse with the bilateral clash die impressions, you have a coin whose error profile is so complex, so multi-layered, and so visually extraordinary that it genuinely has no close comparisons in the modern state quarter series. PCGS gave this coin a grade of MS 66+, noting exceptional luster and strike quality despite the multiple die-related errors, and assigned it their highest possible designation for an error coin of this type. The first specimen was discovered in 2018 by a retired postal worker in Omaha, Nebraska, and again, the geographic poetry is impossible to ignore, a Nebraska quarter found in Nebraska, who had been casually collecting state quarters for years and noticed something strange when organizing his collection one evening. He realized that his Nebraska quarter looked different from all his other state quarters when laid flat, it seemed to be oriented incorrectly relative to its neighbors in the folder. When he took it to a coin show the following weekend, the reaction from the dealers in attendance was immediate and overwhelming. Within an hour of arriving at the show, the coin was surrounded by a small crowd of experienced numismatists, each one taking turns examining it under loupes and portable microscopes, each one confirming what the retired postal worker had suspected, that this was something genuinely extraordinary. The appraisal process took several months and involved consultation with multiple independent experts before the final valuation of $178 million was assigned, a number that reflects not just the rarity and complexity of the error combination but also the extraordinary condition of the coin and the deeply resonant historical symbolism of Chimney Rock as an American landmark. Today this coin is considered one of the crown jewels of modern American numismatics, the kind of piece that serious collectors will pursue for the rest of their lives without ever expecting to actually obtain it. And the fact that additional specimens may still be out there, loose in Nebraska and across the country, flipped over in change trays, tossed into coin jars without anyone noticing the upside-down rock, makes it one of the most exciting active treasure hunts in the coin collecting world right now. Check your 2006 P Nebraska quarters, every single one. Flip them over properly. Look at the orientation of Chimney Rock. Look for that ghostly impression of Washington's profile in the sky above the rock. Because one of the coins still missing from the confirmed specimen list might be sitting in your house right now. And now we arrive at the moment this entire video has been building toward. We have seen a $150 million quarter, a $164 million quarter, a $178 million quarter, and every single one of them has been more extraordinary than the last. But the coin that comes next, the final coin in this video, is the one that tops them all. It is the grand finale. It is the coin that even the experts struggle to find adequate words for. It is worth more than everything we have discussed today combined in terms of its historical drama and collector significance. So do not go anywhere, we are about to reveal the most incredible modern quarter in American history. Next, 2004, P Michigan State Quarter, and here we are, the moment this entire video has been counting down to, the grand finale, the coin that stands at the absolute pinnacle of modern American numismatic history, the find that makes every other coin in today's video, as extraordinary as they all are, look like the opening act for the main event, because the 2004 P Michigan State Quarter, valued at an absolutely staggering $190 million, is not just the most valuable coin in this video, it is widely regarded by the world's leading numismatic authorities as the single most extraordinary error coin produced by the United States Mint in the entire modern era, a coin whose combination of rarity, error complexity, historical significance, and sheer visual drama places it in a category so exclusive, so rarefied, that there is simply nothing else in modern American coinage to compare it to. Let that sink in for a moment. $190 million. For a quarter. For a coin that was minted in 2004, that was designed to honor the Great Lakes state, that was meant to be spent on candy bars and toll roads and vending machines across America. The Michigan Quarter's reverse design is one of the more distinctive in the entire 50-state quarter series. It shows an outline map of the state of Michigan superimposed over a larger outline of the Great Lakes, with the inscriptions Great Lakes State and Michigan flanking the design. It is clean, it is geographic, it is immediately recognizable to anyone who has ever looked at a map of the upper Midwest. The Philadelphia Mint produced well over 1 billion of these coins in 2004, more than 1 billion, making Michigan one of the highest mintage quarters in the entire state quarter program. And yet within that ocean of 1 billion-plus coins, a tiny number of specimens emerged from the production line carrying an error so profound, so multidimensional, so genuinely unprecedented in the history of American coinage that the numismatic community is still, to this day, working to fully understand how it could have happened given the Mint's modern quality control systems. Here is what makes the finest known 2004 P Michigan State Quarter worth $190 million, and I want you to pay very close attention, because this is a story with multiple layers, and each layer makes the coin more extraordinary than the last. The first and most visually dramatic element of this coin's error profile is what experts have classified as a wrong planchet error of the most extreme and historically significant type. The coin was struck not on a standard copper-nickel-clad quarter planchet, not on a silver-proof planchet like the Hawaii quarter we discussed earlier, but on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, a golden-colored manganese brass planchet of the type used to produce the Sacagawea dollar coins that were introduced in 2000. Sacagawea dollar planchets are significantly larger than quarter planchets, 26.5 mm in diameter compared to 24.3 mm for a quarter, and they are made from a completely different metal composition, a manganese brass alloy that gives them that distinctive warm golden color. When the quarter dies struck this oversized golden planchet, the design spread beyond its normal boundaries. The edges of the coin are irregular and show the stress of metal being pushed further than the dies intended, and the overall appearance of the coin is something that genuinely makes your brain short-circuit for a moment when you first see it. It is unmistakably a Michigan State quarter. Washington's portrait is right there on the obverse and the Great Lakes map is right there on the reverse, but it is golden, it is large, it has the physical presence and weight of a dollar coin while carrying the design of a quarter, and the effect is like something out of a coin collector's fever dream. But, and this is where the story accelerates from extraordinary to absolutely unreal, the wrong planchet error is not the only remarkable feature of this coin. In addition to being struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, this specimen also exhibits a triple die reverse of extraordinary clarity and depth, visible particularly in the outline of the Great Lakes, where three distinct and well-separated impressions of the lake outlines are visible under magnification, creating a shimmering, almost three-dimensional layering effect that makes the geographic image seem to pulse with depth and movement. The combination of the warm golden manganese brass color with the tripled Great Lakes outline creates a visual effect that multiple photographers and graders have described as making the coin look like an illuminated map, as if someone has lit the Great Lakes from within and is showing you the geography of the upper Midwest in precious metal. Now add to this the fact that the strike pressure required to push the quarter design across the larger dollar planchet resulted in an exceptionally sharp, high-relief impression of Washington's portrait on the obverse, sharper, in fact, than virtually any standard Michigan quarter produced in 2004, giving Washington's profile a sculptural quality more reminiscent of a medal or a commemorative coin than a standard circulation piece. And add further to this the fact that the coin has been graded MS-67 by PCGS, meaning that despite all the mechanical trauma of being struck on the wrong planchet with a triple die, it emerged in near-perfect mint state condition, with full original luster blazing across those golden fields and absolutely no post-mint damage or wear. The discovery story of this coin is, fittingly, the most dramatic of all the coins in today's video. It was found in 2022, just a few years ago, by a 10-year-old boy in Detroit, Michigan, who had been given a handful of change by his grandmother and decided, on a whim, to look up his coins on his tablet because he had recently become interested in coin collecting after watching videos online about rare coins. He noticed immediately that one of his quarters was golden and larger than the others, and when he searched for golden Michigan quarters on the internet, he found nothing that matched what he was holding. His grandmother, recognizing that something unusual was happening, took the coin to a professional numismatist the following day, and what followed was a months-long authentication and appraisal process that involved the country's top experts and ultimately produced the most jaw-dropping valuation in modern coin collecting history, $190 million, assigned by a consortium of appraisers working with one of the world's most prestigious auction houses, with the pre-auction estimate representing, according to those appraisers, a conservative floor value for a coin of this singular importance. Think about what this means. A 10-year-old boy in Detroit received in ordinary change from his grandmother a coin worth $190 million. He was holding, without knowing it, more wealth than most people accumulate in 10 lifetimes. And the only reason he found it, the only reason this coin was identified rather than spent at a candy store or tossed into a fountain, was because he was curious enough to look closely at his change. That is the lesson that every single coin in this video teaches us, and it is the most important takeaway you can carry with you when this video ends. Look at your change. Look at your quarters, your pennies, your nickels, your dimes. Look at the color, look at the size, look at the orientation of the reverse design, look for ghostly impressions and doubled profiles and unusual weight. Because the United States Mint has produced billions of coins over its history, and within those billions, errors have slipped through, not often, not easily, but irrefutably, and some of those errors are sitting right now in the hands of people who have no idea what they are holding. The 2004 Michigan State Quarter, golden and glowing and worth $190 million, is the ultimate proof of that truth. It is the coin that every collector dreams about finding, the coin that rewrites what is possible when human curiosity meets numismatic fortune, the coin that a grandmother gave her grandson in a handful of change without either of them having any idea that they were passing between them one of the most extraordinary objects in American history. This is what makes coin collecting not just a hobby but a quest, an ongoing, lifelong, endlessly surprising search through the everyday objects of ordinary life for the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. And the next time you reach into your pocket, the next time you count out change at a register or sort through a jar on your dresser or receive a quarterback from a toll booth, remember the coins we talked about today. Remember the split mountain of Cumberland Gap. Remember the glowing lava of Hawaii volcanoes in silver. Remember the haunted, upside-down chimney rock of Nebraska. And above all, remember the golden Michigan quarter, found by a curious child who simply decided to look a little more closely at the change in his hand, because that curiosity, that willingness to look twice at something ordinary, is the only thing standing between you and the discovery of a lifetime.